see in your program book, Chris is explorer in residence at the University of Massachusetts and an ethnobotanist, come on, who's a medicine hunter, but with this difference. His specialty is sex boosters, which he has tracked all the way from the wilds of Siberia through to the Amazon. In his latest book, which you can buy upstairs, he touts the uplifting power of 10 easily bought botanical remedies. Apparently, he takes these things himself, and I'd say he's looking pretty good.
Thank you.
Chris?
Thank you so much. How many of you love what you do? Excellent, excellent. The time we have is very short. One scripture I like says this life is as brief as a flash of heat lightning on a summer night. It all goes in a hurry. I feel that it's wonderful for people to do what they love and love what they do. Not everybody has that choice, however. I'm not going to spend any time talking about sex-enhancing herbs, and I hope that doesn't disappoint you. I'm going to spend time talking about being humane in a crazy, screwed up, violent, bloodthirsty world. And I hope that doesn't distress you too much. So when I got an invitation, first of all, I loved the invitation because it came from a guy named Moses. And I said, that's prophetic. But it said, talk about what's on your mind. Talk about what you're really passionate about. And what's on my mind is the state of humanity these days. People are divided. People are divided by, as I like to say, isms, ologies, and osophies. People are divided by politics. People are divided by race. People are divided by tribes. People are divided by economic status. People are divided, and this is the mind blower to me, people are divided by religion. Those entities and organizations that are supposed to give people safe haven and comfort them and nourish and renew their souls and their spirits and give them a sense of the immanence and presence of God in all things and make them feel more connected to everything in all of creation. These people are killing each other. So when I thought about speaking today, I thought, well, what can I do? I can't just go off on a kind of a generalized, vague, ephemeral screed about humanity. So I decided to talk about some of the people I meet as I do my work. On the medicine trail, I travel the world investigating medicinal plants and working with indigenous native people in India, China, Central and South America, the Amazon, Middle East, West Africa, South Pacific, all over. And I meet wonderful people, and I'm hoping that in this little presentation, however brief it is and simple, that I can engender in you an even greater sense of humanity than you already probably possess. These are my friends in a village called Porur on the southern end of the island of Pentecost in the remote South Pacific archipelago of Vanuatu. Many of these people were never photographed before. And when I took their photographs, some of them weren't really sure what that was. But the chief explained it to him because he knew something about it. And I said, I will take this photograph with me everywhere I go and show it to people around the world. And the chief said, thank you. We want people to know that we're here. See, native people are being wiped out all over the world. And so part of my challenge as I travel around the world communicating is to share that there are precious people. All people are precious, but there are these native people living in remote places, and we have things to learn from them. It's not just that we can sell them Nikes and videos, it's that we have things to learn from them about being in harmony with nature, about doing some of the things they know how to do. This woman on the left, Maria Sina, was 103 years old when I met her. She's sitting with her youngest child, her daughter Marta, age 72. You know, you get desiccated as you age. Maria Sina was about this big when I met her, really little, but fabulous. And she had a glow about her that was just breathtaking. And I remember her fondly for many things, but one of the things I remember the most, and this is why I'm speaking about what I'm speaking about today, is that she looked at me and she said, you bridge the worlds. You tell people about each other. And this is the most important thing you can do right now. And she went on and on about it. As a shaman, She shuttles back and forth between the spirit world and the phenomenal world. She intervenes on behalf of the sick. She knows the uses of many hundreds of medicinal plants, when to harvest them, how to prepare them, how to administer them for a variety of diseases. She's a doctor, a priest, a companion, a therapist, an advisor, a counselor, a psychic, you name it. She's all of those things. And she serves a purpose in her community. Unfortunately, she has no apprentices, because many of the people, the young, they want to go off to the cities to become cab drivers so that they can make some money and buy some Nikes and get DVDs. And so part of my work involves enhancing trade in medicinal plants so that people can remain in their homelands, earn a good living from medicinal plant trade, working with plants that are indigenous to their environment and familiar in their traditions. And then when they want to go to the city, go to the movies, take a cab ride, stay in a hotel, whatever, they can do that. But Maria Sina was a great inspiration. This is Ari'i Paya salmon. You know, it's never the sad things that crack me up. It's always the really happy stuff. First time I met Paya, I was told to fly to this remote island and look for a guy with tattooed legs. It was in the South Pacific. I was investigating kava, a medicinal plant that's beneficial for the treatment of anxiety, but native people use it as a beverage that they drink every afternoon, and they sit around and talk with each other. It's not a solitary drug. It promotes a feeling of tranquility, and it does so immediately. But people sit and drink kava and share, and they get this tranquil feeling, and they hang out, and it builds kinship and community. And kava is also used to resolve disputes. In any case, I needed to find this guy because supposedly he knew a lot about kava, and I was trying to stimulate the kava trade. And my initial meeting with him was breathtaking. We spent a few days together. We almost died on that particular trip together, out in a boat in terrible seas with a bunch of native guys with no safety equipment, and waves that were 15 and 16 feet smashing us in the faces. But we lived through it, and we've been good friends ever since. And Paya has come to the United States. He's tattooed from the waist to the ankles. And I took him to Times Square. I thought, all right, you take me to your jungle, I'll take you to mine. And you know how freaky Times Square is. If you've been to Times Square, it's the freakiest of the freakiest places. And all the freakiest of the freakiest freaks came up to him because he wears a skirt. And they looked at him with his tattoos and they go, well, you're the man. You're the man. This is Bernardo Dias Peixoto. His real name is Ipupiara, which means freshwater dolphin. But if you're a Brazilian native, as he is, if you're not using a Portuguese name, you're not documented and you don't exist. And if you don't exist, then something can happen to you that happens to all the undocumented natives, and that is they get shot like deer and killed. Many, many thousands of native people in the Amazon get hunted down and shot like deer. And that's not a metaphor, that's a real thing. Because these people are occupying land that may have valuable minerals, or may have valuable timber, may have valuable petroleum. And so you go in, you send in people who don't care what they're hunting, you shoot them down, you get rid of them, you bury them, burn them, whatever, then you can use the land. Bernie is one of the people working on indigenous native tribal preservation, speaks 9 different languages. I've lived with him, with Ipishuna and Crinikoru Indians in the Amazon on the river for a couple of months. An extraordinary man, one of my dear friends, a person who has enabled me to further my own knowledge and understanding of Amazonian peoples by being able to bring me to them and translate back and forth. A very funny guy. One of my great moments with Bernie, we flew from Washington, D.C. to the Amazon. We got to the Amazon. I said, hey, Bernie, did you bring any money with you? He says, yeah, man. We're going to be there for a month. He says, yeah, man, I brought $20. This is a lousy picture of Geronimo. Geronimo, so named because he was such a tremendous warrior, Crinikoru Indian, that before intertribal warfare was outlawed in the Brazilian Amazon, he killed so many Ipishuna that they named him Geronimo. Geronimo's the greatest woodsman I've ever met. He doesn't have fingernails. He has slate gray, chiseled, triangular claws. He can climb a 110-foot tree in seconds. The monkey that he has here on the ground, which he doesn't keep on a leash, he flew up a tree and grabbed with his own hands off a branch. It's a hard thing to do. He moves as fast as the monkeys. He's a person who, when I'm in the Amazon, I say, hey, Geronimo, I need to go see a quechua tree. Or, hey, Geronimo, I need to go see some guarana. Or, Geronimo, can you help me go harvest some carapana uba bark? And Geronimo's that guy who always knows where these things are. This kind of indigenous native knowledge is being lost in this overdeveloped fast food asphalt from coast to coast kind of world that we live in. But these people possess precious knowledge, and beyond that, they live precious lives that deserve to be protected. Gilberto Macaxi is the paramount chief of the Macaxi Indians up near the Venezuelan border in the Amazon. When he came to Washington to deliver a speech on indigenous native rights, he spoke in Macaxi, and the translator just deliberately mistranslated everything he said so that people in the audience would not be aware of the abuses, the violence, and the corruption that he had come all the way from his homeland to talk about. This is a real warrior. This is a powerful, proud man who's watching his people disappear every single day before his eyes. I want to finish up with this photograph that I love so much. In 1996, Ari'i Paya, who's in the middle, his son Heiriki's on the left, called me and says, hey, Chris, you come in August, you fire walk with us? I said, sure, I'll fire walk with you. What was I thinking? So I got down to the Pacific, and I'm thinking backyard empowerment workshop, Anthony, what's his name, the guy with the big teeth, Anthony Robbins. I'm thinking, you know, coals on the grass, I can do this. And we're talking a 32-foot long pit, 15 feet wide, with 40 tons of blazing timber, covered by giant river stones that are red hot. They're so hot that they turn to glass on the bottom. And I looked at this pit as it was being prepared. This takes about 100 people to prepare this thing. This doesn't happen in an afternoon, like, hey, let's do a fire walk tonight. It's not like that. Oh, and they kill an oxen, and they roast a whole bunch of pigs, and they cook a ton of yams, and many, many, many people show up. And I walked that first time, and it was astounding. People say, by the way, that there's a special state of mind that you need to fire walk. And it's true. Mine is abject terror. Every time I stand in front of the fire, I think, my God, what am I doing? But I show you this picture because I was honored to wear the Auti leaf robes of a Tahwa, the first non-native person in history to be a fire walker priest in the Polynesian tradition. You don't know when you meet people what will happen. But if you're open-hearted, if you're compassionate, if you're generous-spirited, if you're loving, whatever happens will be good. Don't let the bastards grind you down. We get what we give. Bless you.